Expansion draft is coming up on Monday, obviously an important part of building the foundation of this team. How are you feeling?
Feel good. I mean, we're pretty much through our process right now, and we're going to do some fine-tuning here over the next few days, but we're in a good place right now. It's the system is what it is, and we've been able to work around and through some of the limitations of the expansion draft, but we feel pretty good about what we think we're going to be able to get.
What do you see the focus for this team? What kinds of players are you looking for?
Well, I mean, firstly, very good football players, but also players with high character. The purpose of this is for us to stock our roster with players who have played in the league, so that's what's important right now.
And is it a matter of going after the best players, or is it guys that fit into the Ottawa REDBLACKS system?
It'll be, for the most part, the best players. Certainly, you know, for the most part, where the Canadian or the non-imports are. As it relates to the Americans, it may be more of a system thing or, you know, a philosophy with a certain position, but overall it'll be the best player.
You've had the protection list now for almost a week. Have those decisions been easy to make, or are you going to be taking your time sort of right up until Monday at 11?
You know, they're pretty obvious. They really are. I mean, I think, you know, any fan could probably walk in and look at who's protected and who isn't and say, this is the direction we want to go in. Having said that, we've done our due diligence. We've watched every player. We've evaluated every player. We've rated everybody. You know, we factor in injuries. Pretty good about what we think we're going to be able to get.
What do you see the focus for this team? What kinds of players are you looking for?
Well, I mean, firstly, very good football players, but also players with high character. The purpose of this is for us to stock our roster with players who have played in the league, so that's what's important right now.
And is it a matter of going after the best players, or is it guys that fit into the Ottawa REDBLACKS system?
It'll be, for the most part, the best players. Certainly, you know, for the most part, where the Canadian or the non-imports are. As it relates to the Americans, it may be more of a system thing or, you know, a philosophy with a certain position, but overall it'll be the best player.
You've had the protection list now for almost a week. Have those decisions been easy to make, or are you going to be taking your time sort of right up until Monday at 11?
You know, they're pretty obvious. They really are. I mean, I think, you know, any fan could probably walk in and look at who's protected and who isn't and say, this is the direction we want to go in. Having said that, we've done our due diligence. We've watched every player. We've evaluated every player. We've rated everybody. You know, we factor in injuries, age, contracts, all those different elements. So, I mean, those are the trickier pieces. And then obviously, because if you take a quarterback from one team, they protect a couple extra Canadians, and how that all plays into the overall picture. You know, that's where it gets a little more dicey, I guess you could say.
Speaking of the quarterback is sort of the big question going into this draft. Are you looking for a face of the franchise type player, or are you looking for competition come training camp?
We're looking for, again, the best guy. I mean, we're going to want somebody who's played and has experience, so that leads into somebody who's known in the league, so that's an advantage. There are, again, limitations because of free agency. We're not going to, certainly not at the quarterback position, going to select a free agent. So for the most part, it's kind of obvious where our choices would come from. 3 or 4 teams have guys that we would want to take a quarterback from.
Now, since Rick Campbell has arrived as your head coach, has your philosophy changed going into the draft in order to suit what he wants out of a team, or how much has he had a say in going into Monday?
Well, he's been involved in the whole process. You know, the reason he was hired was because his thoughts in a lot of ways were very similar to how I thought and how our personnel department thought. Office and desk, using my phone to tether to the internet, because I had no internet, to the point now where we're going to really put a big stamp onto the number of players we're going to have on our roster. Having visited the stadium recently and seeing how far along it's come and getting a better sense as to what our space is going to be like. You know, hiring a head coach, our personnel people have been there. You know, now just finishing off, trying to get some contracts done for a group of assistant coaches. So everything's falling into place more or less the way I had envisioned, but it's a great feeling, and it takes more than one person. It's an effort put in by everybody that's on staff here with the Red Blacks.
You've been on the job now for almost a year, but what would you say the most exciting part has been so far?
Just piecing it together, piece by piece. I wouldn't say there's one thing. It's just been putting pieces in place, whether it be office staff, again, the head coach, and just starting to sign players. You know, there's been some challenges as it relates to some of the limitations that we've had to endure, you know, as we wait for a Midnight Grey Cup, as we had to. But once that kind of became reality and we were able to do more things, sign players, that kind of put a bit more of a reality check into place.
Do you believe this team will be competitive right out of the gate in 2014?
That's our intent. Yeah. What does that mean, wins and losses? You don't know, because it's not just you, it's the other teams. But we anticipate being very competitive from the get-go. I mean, I've been in this league for a long time. This is my 20th season in the CFL. I've been in places where it's worked quite well, and been in a place where it didn't work as well. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is important not only for the Red Blacks and for the city of Ottawa, but it's also important for the CFL, and I think we all take that seriously as well.
Well, enjoy Monday and the rest of your year.
We will. Thank you.
1, 2, test. Dude.
Well, first and foremost, this is a historic day, obviously, for everybody in the nation's capital, for the Ottawa REDBLACKS, and we're thrilled to be here to make our selections. We're selecting players who will be the foundation of our franchise moving forward and who will help establish our culture. To our team of Brock Sunderland, Jeremy Snyder, Miles Gurrell, Colin Farquharson, they've put in a tremendous amount of work, not only this week, but throughout the season, preparing us for this day. And to the players who are being selected today, you're moving to a great city where the excitement and build-up for CFL football is palpable and where you will be in good hands and where things will be done right. The REDBLACKS ownership group of John Ruddy, Roger Greenberg, Bill Schenkman, Jeff Hunt, John Pugh are second to none, and with the leadership of OSEG CEO Bernie Ash, as well as our football staff, you will be in good hands. Une journée historique aujourd'hui pour le Rouge et Noir d'Ottawa ainsi que la Ligue canadienne de football. Nous allons choisir les joueurs qui formeront la fondation de notre équipe et qui aideront à établir notre culture. Notre groupe, composé de Brock Sunderland, Jeremy Snyder, Miles Gurrell et Colin Farquharson, ont travaillé très fort pour nous permettre d'être à ce stage aujourd'hui. Pour les joueurs qui seront sélectionnés aujourd'hui, vous allez aménager dans une excellente ville où l'excitation pour le retour de la Ligue canadienne de football est incroyable, où nous allons faire les choses de la bonne façon. Notre groupe de propriétaires, composé de John Ruddy, Roger Greenberg, Bill Schenkman, Jeff Hunt et John Pugh, est incomparable. Et avec le leadership de Bernie Ash, chef de la direction d'OSEG, ainsi que notre personnel aux opérations football, vous allez être d'entre excellentes mains. And now our selections. First, from the Montreal Alouettes, defensive lineman, plaqueur défensif de l'Université Tulsa from Tulsa University, Moten Hopkins. From the Toronto Argonauts, defensive lineman, plaqueur défensif.
From the University of South Carolina, Jonathan Williams.
From the Hamilton Tiger Cats, running back, demi-offensif from Sioux Falls, Siobhan Walker. From the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, wide receiver, receveur éloigné.
From North Carolina A&T, Wallace Miles.
From the Saskatchewan Roughriders, offensive lineman, ligne offensive, from South Carolina State, James Lee. From the Edmonton Eskimos, wide receiver, receveur éloigné.
From South Florida, Carlton Mitchell.
From the BC Lions, quarterback, corps arrière, from Old Dominion, Thomas DeMarco. And from the Calgary Stampeders, corps arrière, quarterback.
From Illinois State, Kevin Glenn.
Thank you, Marcel. Thank you, Rick. We have two questions from the floor. First one is from Brent Wallace from TSN.
Why did you go with Kevin Glenn and DeMarco for your quarterbacks, and what choices did you have to make when you were looking at what that quarterback was going to be for your team?
Well, it became a function of having two guys that we felt were the best quarterbacks available that were not going to be free agents. That's a key component for us. Obviously, Kevin is very familiar with what we're going to want to do offensively, which is a bonus. And we also have a combination of veteran leadership and a younger player. So we have all the elements in place that we think are going to help us be a strong team, specifically at that position.
Et la deuxième question de Jonathan Joubin de ici Radio-Canada.
Bien, du point de vue corps arrière, c'est vraiment une question de choisir les meilleurs joueurs à n'importe quelle position. Dans ce cas ici, on peut choisir un joueur en Kevin Glenn qui a de l'expérience, qui va connaître le système offensif que l'on veut utiliser. Et avec Thomas DeMarco, un joueur plus jeune qui a démontré son cran cette saison et son habileté de jouer dans cette ligue. Donc, un joueur un peu plus jeune qui a quand même de l'expérience dans la ligue, mais qui a aussi à apprendre. Et il va être capable d'apprendre d'un joueur comme Kevin. Du point de vue les joueurs qu'on a choisis en général, c'était vraiment une question de choisir le meilleur joueur à cette position-là du côté des joueurs américains. Et c'est des joueurs qui sont quand même assez jeunes, qui vont être capables de développer avec nous autres au fur et à mesure que notre équipe se développe.
Okay, thank you. Merci beaucoup. So the second round will be at 12:35. Marcel and Rick will be out at 12:35 for the second round. Le deuxième round sera au 12:35. Merci.